Hello everyone, I am Xiao Kian. In a small city in Shandong, there is an ordinary single girl. Her dream is very simple to see the outside world. But in her hometown, it is harder to leave this land than to climb to the sky. However, this girl used her courage and persistence to finally overcome many obstacles and embarked on a journey to Taiwan. What she experienced gave her a new understanding of life, freedom, and dignity. Next, I will tell you about her experience in Taiwan in the first person. As the saying goes, people have to see the outside world in their lifetime, but in our place, such a simple thing as going out to sea is made as difficult as climbing to the sky. I remember the first time I climbed over the wall to watch videos of Taiwan online. It felt like I had discovered a new world. Look at the subway station. It is clean and there is not even a spit mark. The people on the street do not fight or grab. They smile at everyone, and even the street vendors are polite. These pictures turned over and over in my mind like chicken blood. I wanted to go and see them. At that time, I was working in a company, earning 3,000 to 4,000 yuan a month. I saved up for half a year to save enough money to go to Taiwan. But the money problem was solved, and the next thing was going to be a lot of trouble. Just the formalities almost killed me. Let's talk about preparing materials first. Salary flow, property certificate, household registration book ID card, and employment certificate are all basic. But when I finally got all these ready, I went to the office and asked for the company's political review materials. Now I had to get the leader's signature. Our leader was so annoying. He had to ask all kinds of questions and asked what I was going to do in Taiwan and what was there to see there. I was worried that if I said the wrong thing, the materials would be ruined. I finally passed the leader's test, and it was a torture to go to the office. The hall was full of people. The air conditioner was like a decoration, and sweat flowed down my back. I looked at the clock and saw that I had been waiting in line from 8 a.m. to almost 11 a.m. before I got to the window. However, the clerk didn't even raise his head and was chewing gum. He said, "The system is under maintenance. Come back tomorrow." I almost fainted. I spent the whole morning in such a hot weather, and all I got was this. The next day, I got up at 5 a.m. thinking I could get in line early. But when I got there, I saw that there were already more than 10 people waiting. This time, the system was not under maintenance, but the clerk looked over my materials over and over again like a microscope and finally said that the format of my employment certificate was incorrect and had to be reissued. I was so angry, but what could I do? I had to smile and say thank you and go back to the unit to get a new certificate. Our section chief was angry again. "Why are you in such a hurry? Let's talk about it next week." "I'm busy this week." I thought to myself, isn't this just a waste of time? But I didn't dare to say anything, so I could only smile and say, "Section chief, it's really urgent. Can you help me get it today?" After a long time of struggling, I finally got the certificate. I went back to the office and waited in line for another morning. This time I finally submitted all the materials, but they said I would have to wait for a month to get the result. My heart was hanging in the air. I was absent my at work every day, thinking about when it would be approved. My colleague said I was crazy and lost my soul all day. This month was really like a year. I finally waited for the notice that the materials had been reviewed and passed, and I had to go for an interview. I was so scared that I couldn't sleep the night before for fear of saying something wrong and ruining all my efforts. On the day of the interview, I wore a neat outfit and prepared all the questions I could think of. As a result, the questions asked by the interviewer were really funny. Why did you choose to go to Taiwan? Will you make inappropriate remarks after you go there? What do you think about the reunification of the motherland? I was nervous because these questions were political, so I had to pay more attention to the answers. Finally, I passed the interview, but it was not over yet. I still had to go for a physical examination, submit materials, and apply for a pass. This set of procedures took 3 months. During this period, I asked for leave 7 or 8 times, and my salary was reduced by hundreds of dollars. Every time I got home, I lay in bed and thought, why is it so difficult to go out? I remember one night I was lying in bed and flipping through my phone, and I saw a video from Taiwan. The aunt in the video was selling fruit. She was so friendly and greeted the customers with taba. I cried as I watched it, thinking, when will I really see such a day? Finally, after nearly 4 months of tossing, I got a pass to Taiwan. I held the pass and stared at the moon on the balcony for a long time, thinking about the grievances and difficulties along the way, and thinking that I would soon see Taiwan, which I had been thinking about day and night. I felt mixed emotions. On the day I flew from Jinan to Taipei, my palms were sweating with nervousness. When I went through security check, my luggage was stuck. It turned out that I brought a bottle of water and forgot to throw it away. The security inspector said with a stern face that I couldn't bring this and had to throw it away. I quickly nodded and said sorry, thinking that nothing could go wrong on this trip. Otherwise, it would be a waste of time. The moment the plane took off, my heart also flew up. Looking through the window at the ground slowly getting smaller, I knew that my trip to Taiwan was finally about to begin. It felt like a bird in a cage, finally seeing the sky outside. I was so excited that tears were about to fall. When I arrived at Taoyuan Airport, my heart was still pounding. When I entered the terminal, I saw a young man wearing glasses smiling at me and saying in a Taiwanese accent, "Welcome to Taiwan." It felt as warm as returning home. When I went through customs, the staff was very nice. They asked me if it was my first time in Taiwan and introduced me to some fun places. I wondered if I could get this treatment at our airport. After leaving the airport, I went straight to Taipei main station. As soon as I entered the station, I was stunned by the order. The people there lined up in such a disciplined manner. They stood straight, one arm's length apart for fear of squeezing others. I was thinking about taking out my phone to take a few photos when I heard someone behind me say, "Miss, please stand to the side and don't block the people behind you." Looking back, I saw that the old man was speaking politely. I quickly apologized, thinking that if this happened in our place, someone would have cursed at me. The place I stayed was a homestay near X. I am ending. The proprietor's was a 40-year-old aunt. As soon as I entered the door, she poured me a cup of tea and said, "You must be from the mainland. You must have worked hard and must have been tired on the road." These words made my nose sour, as if all the hard work of these days had been comforted. The room was so clean that there was not even a speck of dust. The sheets and quilt covers were all lightly scented. The next morning I went to Shilin night market. Although I went there in the morning, the shops were all open, so I went straight to the big intestine wrapped in small intestine that had gone viral on the internet. When I was queuing, the couple in front of me asked me to order first, saying that they hadn't decided what to eat yet. I felt embarrassed and said no. I couldn't even think about this in my hometown. Wouldn't people have to squeeze their heads in the queue? After breakfast, I went to the Palace Museum. When I entered the door, the security guard saw me holding my phone in a daze and came over to ask if I needed an interpreter. I said I wanted a Chinese one, so he adjusted the channel for me and carefully taught me how to use it. During the tour, everyone spoke in a low voice for fear of disturbing others. I looked at the cultural relics in the glass cabinets and listened to the history in the explanation. Before I knew it, I had been there for most of the day. What moved me the most was that one evening I got lost in a small alley and my phone was running out of battery. I was anxious, but I saw a primary school student with a school bag on his back. I was still hesitating whether to ask for directions, but the child came over and asked me in a baby voice, "Enter, can't you find the way?" This made me feel warm. The child not only showed me the way, but also spoke to me in Mandarin. Although the pronunciation was not standard, the kindness was really touching. Later, I went to Kenting. The sea there was really blue and deep. I rented an electric car and thought about going around the beach. As a result, I don't know why the car ran out of power halfway. I was worried, and a local passed by and took me to his house to charge it without saying a word. His wife also brought me fruit and herbal tea and asked me if I had eaten and if I wanted to have a simple meal together. I was embarrassed, but they really care about you. When I was in Beijing, I encountered a small episode on the bus. An old lady got on the bus, and several people on the bus immediately stood up to give up their seats. Before the old lady sat down, the driver shouted, "Mom, sit down, I'm driving." My eyes were wet when I saw it, and I thought of the buses in my hometown, which were so crowded. Even if the elderly get on the bus, sometimes they have to give up their seats. In the last few days, I went to Sun Moon Lake, where I met an aunt selling tea eggs. She knew that I was from the mainland, and she insisted on giving me an extra egg, saying that it was not easy to come from afar. I said, "Taiwan is so good, I want to come again." The aunt smiled and said, "Welcome. Taiwan will always welcome you." These words made me feel warm in my heart. On the day before leaving, I went to Longshan Temple on purpose. The temple was very popular, but not noisy at all. I watched the believers burn incense devoutly and pray quietly, and my heart calmed down. An old lady saw me taking pictures and took the initiative to tell me the origin of this temple. She also showed me the lucky charm she brought with her and said she would give me one to keep me safe. While waiting for the plane at the airport, I sat in the waiting room and watched the people coming and going. 3 weeks is not long, but the experience of these days makes me feel like I have become a different person. In Taiwan, I saw a different way of life and felt a different kind of human touch. After returning to my hometown, many people asked me if Taiwan was fun. I always said yes, but I couldn't tell what was good about it. Because that kind of goodness cannot be explained by just a few attractions and a few delicacies. It is those strangers who smile at you on the street, the young people who take the initiative to give up their seats on the bus, and the elementary school students who help you show the way. It is these bits and pieces of warmth that weave together a touching place. Now I always think of the days in Taiwan. Although I have returned to my original life, my mentality has changed. In the past, I would throw away garbage when I saw people littering, but now I will take the initiative to pick it up and put it in the trash can. In the past, I always pretended to play with my mobile phone when I saw the elderly on the bus, but now I will take the initiative to give up my seat. Although I am sometimes accused of being too serious, I know that civilization and kindness are spread bit by bit. What makes you miss a place is not how prosperous it is, but because you feel the most basic respect and warmth as a human being there. This feeling makes me wonder why life is so different, even though we speak the same Chinese language. After I came back, I often thought about this question late at night. What are the regulations that control everything, the system that requires political review at every turn, and the suffocating speech environment for? In Taiwan, I saw that ordinary people can talk about politics freely, the media can openly criticize those in power, and elections allow people to make their own choices. Although their lives are not rich, everyone can hold their heads high and live without having to worry all day long or racking their brains to figure out the thoughts of their leaders. Sometimes I wonder if our government is less involved and less restrictive. Will the lives of ordinary people be easier? Have those officials who talk about the superiority of the system ever thought about what ordinary people really need? During my time in Taiwan, I finally understood that real development is not about how high the GDP is or how bright the buildings are, but that everyone can live with dignity, breathe freely, and speak their mind without worrying about being invited for tea. This is how Taiwan makes me feel, and it is also a beautiful memory that I have always treasured in my heart. Although I know that these words should not be said, I still can't help but say them, because I believe that one day we will be able to live such a dignified life. That's it for today's video. If you think what I said is interesting, please like and follow me. Your support is the biggest motivation for me to update. Thank you.